who made it. You know who made it.
Hello, good evening, everyone. You're welcome to the class. So as I said on the comment, maybe you didn't see it, kindly leave your name, where you're joining from, on the comment section. You can just quickly do that. And then I'll probably officially begin maybe by 15 minutes past 7 or 20 minutes past 7. So that we can just wait for others to join in. So I can wait for others to join in, but in the meantime, leave your name and your location where you're joining from on the comment section. Thank you very much.
You know who made it.
name implies, laying elements out on the page. How to lay elements out on the page. After all, that's what design is all about. Both the text, the images, the square, circles, and icons, and all those things. Design is all about giving them beautiful structures and all that. So, but what auto layout helps us do is then to automatically, organize our design. So if them and start organizing them. If you look at this design, they are all structurally arranged and the layout is consistent, meaning the distance between this text and this input form is consistent with this text and this input form, and also this text and this input form. So the layout is always consistent, and the distance between this group here and this group is the same with this group and this group. So you will see it a lot like that in design. Design is more of consistency. Already decided that I'm no longer having class with us. It's not because of any other thing, right? You guys are not really, your enthusiasm is not really encouraging to me, but But in fact, let me just try to share my screen a little. I am very, very, very busy, and then busy that way. I should not at the end of the day, trying to share knowledge, and then people are just not taking it very serious. I have like 3 different projects that I am actively working on. So this tab has been open for like I can't remember the last time my VS Code was closed. So it was open before this class. I was actively working before this class, and after this class I will continue working. So I'm just suspending my work because of this class, and I already decided that I've been sacrificing enjoying my work or my work time because of you guys, and then your enthusiasm is not encouraging. Then I thought, well, after all, it's not everybody that will finally go into tech. There are a lot of successful people in the world of fashion, in the world of, modeling, a lot of people even do smoothies. I don't know if all those things, makeup and all those things that girls and guys too, everybody have what they do, right? So I just thought to myself, instead of wasting my time, right, let me just face my work, because these 2 hours is too much of commitment, I did too much of sacrifice from my time. So, but when I saw a various message, I was just, I should say I was touched, and say at least, God told, what's his name, Abraham, if you can, get just one person that is faithful, I will save them. So I would say, Ebere is that one person that Abraham got. Well, let's proceed. So if you look at this design, you would see that basically this particular frame, this one now that my mouse is hovering over, if you look at this frame here, that's this frame now, and this frame, and this frame, the only thing that is changing is the text. Take your time and look at it. The only thing that is changing between this frame and this frame and this frame is the text. What do I mean? The pattern of arrangement is the same. The square is the same. Everything about it, the spacing, everything is the same. So what just happened is that we are repeating one thing in 3 different places. And in both development and design, it's not really advisable. Because maybe at the end of the day, your production head or you might decide that this text here, you don't want it to be to the left again, you want it to be to the right, and you move it here to the right, and then you realize that you have reused this same thing in 50 or 100 other places in your very massive application, right? So in that case, you have to start going through each and every page in your application, looking for where you use this thing and start changing it this way to the right. So it is not very advisable to do this. So in design, when you see, or in development, right, when you see some things that are highly repetitive, some things that you will reuse, just like this one now, this entire frame is just the same thing. This is just for entering form, right? Like in this Figma here, I explained this to us, the last time. I'm sure what they did here is they just created one of these. Now that's actually what we're going to learn today. Don't get confused, okay? That's what we're going to learn today. They created one. It is called a component. We are going to learn it today, and I'll try to hurry through the class. And please, if you're not understanding, quickly say it on the. Let me just quickly welcome everybody. That's too much Excel. Sorry, give me a second. It is the tradition, so miracle holiday. I think I'll welcome the bearer. Okay. Sorry, let me just, because it's already the tradition to welcome everybody into the class. So as I was saying, because we are going to reuse this thing in a lot of places on our application, on our design. Of course, we are designing for applications. Because we are going to reuse this, it is not advisable to repeat it. So whenever I want to use it on a design, this one now, obviously it is a form where users are meant to enter information, right? Their name, their email address, their password, whatever. It is meant to stay consistent. If you take your phone, go to different applications, you see that things like form fields are always consistent. When I say consistent, I mean the design is always consistent. You don't, maybe one side, one of the form field, you have the border radius, it is very curved, and the other form field you have it is squared. Please, just to clarify, form field just means that text input where you click and you enter any information you want to enter and you send it. In design and development, it's called form field, or it's called text input. These are the two names: form, text input, form field, text input. So if I use it interchangeably, just understand what I'm saying. So here now, we have this, we reused it here. The only thing that is changing is the text, right? So but the entire design is the same. So I give an example. Maybe if you notice, this one, like the background of this text input is slightly harsh. Maybe along the line, like one of the applications I'm developing now, after so many weeks of developing the application, I realized that there are some buttons that I used. The pattern of the buttons, like the edges, are too curved. I need it to be much more sharp, so that maybe eventually I will teach us about design principles, the meaning of colors and the meaning of curved edges, sharp edges, and the rest. So this particular application, there is a message I want to pass, right? And that curved edge is not really going to pass the message. So I normally I have used like the button, the text fields in a lot of places, right? I would have gone through all those different pages and start changing all of them one after the other, which would take me many days, right? But because what I did, which is the normal thing to do, I created just one. Like for the button, I created just one button, right? And then I asked myself, what is going to change in this one button whenever I want to reuse it? The button will always look the same, but of course the text on the button will change. Let me just, oh my god, I spelled isn't his name isn't now. Please just forgive me for that, I was rushing. So the button is going to, the design for the button is going to remain the same. The color, the text style, the padding, everything is going to remain the same. But the text, of course, is going to change because some button will say login, some will say sign up, some will say maybe buy now, like if it's an e-commerce application you're developing. Some will say, different things, right? So the text will change. There are some things that you want to create, maybe the color will change, right? So whenever you want to create an element that you can reuse, you ask yourself what is going to change. So in this our little example here, we have this guy here. Okay, let me just finish my story quickly. So what I did is I just went to that particular singular button that I created, and then I did the edit on that button, and it reflected on everywhere on my application that I have used the button, because it is the same button that I used, but I just made it dynamic. Dynamic programming or design is giving some elements the ability to adapt, to change dynamically. What I mean is, you create it, you give it a placeholder. Like for the text now, we're going to do it and we'll understand. You give it a placeholder, and then whenever you want to reuse it, right, you can dynamically pass data into that element, and then instead the element now is going to assume the new form. You could just create it and it is already like that. Somebody said the audio is cracking. Please, somebody else should just confirm if it is okay or not. Quick, we don't have time. I need us to go into programming by 8. Somebody else should just confirm quick if the audio is very bad. If you do not, I will continue, and if it is cracking, well, I give us opportunity to speak up. Excel and Chidebe, I'm expecting that you respond to things like this. Okay, Zubi said it's fine. So Mr. Haliday or Miracle, Mr. Miracle, please maybe just check from your own end and I'll proceed. When you look at this text, you look at it, you realize that the only thing that is changing, I said this before, Shabo, I think we should go into practical now. The only thing that is changing is the text. The entire pattern is remaining the same and consistent. So like the example I gave initially, maybe later now when I realize that okay, we don't need this text to the right again, we want it to the left. If you move this guy to the left, all the other ones are still to the right because you recreated them wherever you want to use them, which is not a very good practice. Let's say maybe at the end of the day you realize that this text field needs to be like the height needs to be thicker. It needs to be thicker, right? So if I come here and maybe give it a height of 42, no, let me give it a significant difference, maybe a height of like 50. You realize that it's only this guy that is changing, the rest are remaining the same. So let's say if in my application I have a lot of pages where people are meant to enter information in all these form fields, and that means I've used this thing in like 50 different places, I'll have to go through all of them and start changing them, or I will just leave the rest like that, which is not a consistent pattern of working. It's very, very bad practice, right? So that we don't put ourselves in that situation, it's always good to create components. So it is called component. Now that's what we're going to do from now. So what we'll do now, I'll drag this guy out because I want to now create a component with this guy. So I'll drag him out of this auto layout here. Let's just follow because I'm going to just run through. And then I'll come to this top part here. If you scroll, when you are watching the video, you will see it. If you scroll to that top part, you will see the text here say create components. When you click on it, if you notice the line around it is now purple. Every other line is blue. But for component, it's now purple. Auto layout is blue. Normal grouping is blue. But for component, it is purple. Right? So that's how you know that you have converted it into a component. Now, for the component, what does it really mean? What is the difference? Let me also drag this guy out. What is the difference between this guy and this guy? Well, no difference for now, because there are two frames. This guy is a frame, an auto layout frame that has a text, and this square text input. This guy is the same thing. But the difference is that with this component here, we can create instances. What I mean by instances is that same element, we just duplicate it. So it's like a duplicate, right? It's like a duplicate. And then whatever we do to the mother elements will be reflected on the children. That's the duplicates. So now let me go ahead and do that, and we'll see. So here now, if I now, I always like using shortcuts because that's the more faster way to work. But for the sake of us, let me see if I copy and paste, but I just copied and I pasted and I created an instance. Let me delete it. So you can copy and you can paste, but the fastest way is just to use Ctrl D, which is to duplicate. So how to create an instance? You copy and you paste. That's, you copy the component itself, you paste it, or you press Ctrl D to duplicate the component. So you have created an instance from that component. So let me just do that. I just press Ctrl D now and I duplicated it, and that means I created an instance. Now if you see the icon look at this icon here for the component. The icon is different. Look at the instance of the component. This one is just like an empty square, right? This one is a much more filled square, telling you that this is the mother, these are the children. So wherever you see this, it's called an instance. So now the difference is that, the importance of creating instances from components is that whatever happens to this child element of the component, whatever happens to the mother will be reflected on the child. Let's say now I want to move this text to the right. If I move it to the right on the mother, look at, immediately the child also moves to the right. So in that case, we can create 2,000 of these children from these parents, and then whatever we finally decide, there's an application I'm working on. There are some things now that have not even totally decided on, like the final pattern of the theme of the application, a lot of things. So what I'm just doing is I'm creating components and reusing them. So on those alert pop-ups, on those buttons, I'm just creating components and using the components, right? So whenever I want to finally decide that, okay, this is how the design will look, I will just go to the initial one that I created, I will edit that one, it's then going to reflect on the other ones. You understand? So now if I now decide that, okay, the text field here, I want it to be red. Of course, text field can be red, but just for the sake of example, if I look at the child has automatically changed. You understand? Anyhow, if I want let's say if I want to increase the border radius to 200, automatically it has reflected on the child. That's the best way to work. So let me just take it back to the way it was. So now, in that case, I'll have to delete these two, because they are redundant elements, meaning that we don't need them anymore because we now have a better way of working. All these ones, they are individually existing elements. If we use them, we'll have to go to them and make any form of edit, any form of change we want to make. But if we use components and instances, we just have to go to only one and edit it, and it will reflect on the rest. Okay, so now, I told us initially that you ask yourself what is going to change, right? What's going to change whenever you're creating a component for an element that you want to keep reusing, right? You want to keep reusing it in a lot of places. You ask yourself what's going to change. So in this particular one, obviously, is the text. Here the text is name, but on the next one now the text might be email. On the next one the text might be phone number. On the next one the text might be date of birth, whatever I want to, data I want to collect. So the text is going to change, but every other thing is going to remain consistent. You understand? Every other thing is going to remain consistent. So now in that case, although this particular part is solely for programming. It's even good I'm introducing us to this for now. Figma is much more flexible in handling components than when you are actually programming. You understand? Because for programming, you must have to define the value that will change on the mother element, and then whenever you want to reuse the child element, you will then depend on that mother element, the definition you made on that mother element to then edit the child element. But on Figma, I can just directly come to this place and edit the name. So let's say here, what I want here is email address. So the good thing about this one is that because I have changed this text here, right? If I then change, let's say this one here to something like a phone number also, it is not reflecting here. The reason it's not reflecting is because I have edited this. This guy is not at his original state anymore, just the text. But every other thing like the position is still at their original state. But if I come here now, so the idea behind this is that if you create an instance from a component, anything on that instance, maybe I should be calling it child, because maybe instance is a very big English, just so that we don't get confused. But I'll still be calling it instance and child. So when you create a child from a component, anything on that child that you have not edited separately, when you edit that thing on the mother element, it is going to reflect on the child element. Like for this color now, this text field color, we have not edited it individually. If I come to this mother element and change it to blue, it is going to reflect on the child element. But if I come to the child element, and change it to white, now when I change the mother element for that particular text input, if I change it to red or something, it will not be reflected on the child element because I have, I've given this child element just this one, because I can create up to 200 different children from one mother, as many as I want, right? So just this one that I individually edited, just that particular thing I edited will not change. Let me just give an example. If I create another instance, I use Control D to create an instance to just duplicate. So this guy is an instance. This one is the main model. You look at it. Look at this icon at the top here. So this guy is the instance. So if I change this text here, the text which is phone number on the mother, because I've not changed it here, it will reflect here. Let's say I call it date. You can see it is automatically just reflecting date of birth. So I know it is going to seem too much. It's going to seem too much now, but when we start using it, we'll just see the importance and how easy it is, right? So now it is reflecting. But if I come now and change this text, the child text, to something like state of origin, right? Now when I then change this mother to whatever beans, it's not going to reflect on the child because we have given just this text element an individual existence of its own, right? But every other thing like the positioning is still, we haven't changed it, it's still depending on the mother. But if we should change the positioning to, let's say, right, when we then change the mother to middle, this guy is going to change to middle because we haven't changed this one positioning. We have changed this one positioning. So this one will not listen to the mother in terms of positioning, but this will listen. When I change the mother to maybe middle, look at this guy moved, or this one didn't move. So sometimes you create a component and then some specific things on some specific children, maybe depending on the kind of place you want to use it, you want them to have their own individual behavior. But on the majority, right, that's the idea of creating component. The majority, right, the majority of other things, you want them to be synchronizing so that you can always edit it from one parent element. So in that case now, what we did today is that auto layout we created before, we have converted into components so that we can just create one. Let me just go ahead and delete this ones so that we can create one component. Let me change this color back to that white. So now we just created one component. Let me take it to the top left. and then we'll create instances from the components. Sorry about that. So I just created an instance from this component, and then I will then use the instance. So I've brought it inside my auto layout frame, and then I will create another instance. So obviously this one is not going to be base. This one is going to be name. Yeah, that's what was there. So we have name here. I'll create another one, another instance. I'll bring it inside. So this one I'll call it, I think it was email address, right? I'll create another one. And I'll bring it in. So this one is phone number. So now if for any reason we have any complaint, we have any need to change anything, we can always come to the mother element and just easily change. We could say, okay, we don't want the text to be at the left, we want it to be at the middle. All of them is going to change automatically. But if now there is a special case where we want a particular one to be at the left, right, we can then put that one at the left, and then when we're changing the parent is going to be affecting all the other ones that we have not changed. So it's a much more better and consistent and easy to manage pattern of work. I don't think we're going to spend any more time on design. This is a very, very powerful concept. On our next class, let me be very plain with you guys. I said this thing at the beginning of the class, and I'm going to say it again. The only reason we're having class today is Chidebere. The post he made, the message he sent on the group. I have been very, very busy, and I am very, very busy. If I'm not working, I'm taking classes. Because in IT we never stop learning. So if I'm not working, I'm taking classes. If I'm not taking classes, I'm working, right? Even if it is not a job for a client, my job is practicing. Because we always practice, we always study. So taking time out of my own personal time that is not even enough for me. I don't even have a social life at all, because I've dedicated all my time to work and study. So taking time to have this class with us is a very big sacrifice for me, and I will come, and then the level of enthusiasm is just very, very discouraged. I already told myself that the class is just over, but when I saw that post, I was at least somebody is appreciative of it. So on our next class, all we'll do is you guys should just recreate this thing with the component. Don't bother about submitting. If you want to submit, you submit. But if you don't want to submit, I don't care about that too. But what I just care about is for you to do it and just get the experience, because that's the only way you can be sure you have learned it. So just try to do it, recreate it with the components, not with the auto layout. The last one we did was with auto layout. So now recreate it with components so that you can reuse elements, right? I will also, let me even do that now. Just give me a second. We are done for design for today, because we have been spending so much time on design that we have abandoned development, which is another very important thing. So I will send in, I'm already sending it now. Yeah, let me just quickly get something that will recreate. So if we can, advise us to do that. This I will send it to the group. We recreate this now. Let me just quickly explain it. Maybe later when you want to design it, you come and watch the video for the explanation. This particular design, the entire frame is an auto layout. Let me move it aside so that we can see it very well. So Excel and Chidebere and every other person, I expect you to work on this. If you can submit it, it will be very good for you, not for me. So this entire frame is an auto layer. That's this white. If you notice, the edges are curved. Whenever you see a design, you just analyze it. Very simple. 2 seconds that we created this. Now let me just see if I have time. 6 minutes. Maybe I should or I should not. Quickly, in a speed of light, somebody should just respond on the comment. Should I recreate it or not? Because you guys are going to create this as an assignment. But let me just quickly explain it. While I'm doing that, somebody should, what's it called? Somebody should tell me if I should recreate it. So when you look at this design, it is an auto layout frame. The edges are curved, so it has ridges, right? And then is it horizontally aligned auto layout or vertically aligned? Of course it is vertically, because when you look at it, the elements, okay, Mr. Miracle said I should recreate. Okay, let me just quickly analyze, then I'll recreate. When you look at it, the elements are vertically aligned. You have this text like this. You have this text like this. You have this line. You have this entire frame. So now, let me go again. You have the entire frame, which is an auto layout, right? And the auto layout has white background, has curved edges. Then you have a text here and a text here. You can decide to individually place them, but the best way to do it is to create an auto layout, because if you look, this text and this icon and this text, they are both horizontally aligned. If you should place a line, it's going to go through their middle, and the easiest way to achieve it is to use auto layout, and then you come to that auto layout and then you just create distance between them. Miracle, I'm going to recreate it, just I know that you don't want me to recreate it so that it will be like a challenge for you, but the goal is for all of us to learn. So you have a horizontally aligned auto layout, which there is a space between them, a text to the left and an icon to the right, and then you have a line under it, meaning that the entire frame is vertically aligned auto layout, but its children are all horizontally aligned auto layout. So you have the first auto layout horizontal, and then you have the line, and then you have this second one horizontally aligned auto layout, which is this guy to the left. This guy now is another auto layout having vertically aligned auto layout, a text at the top, a text at the bottom. I know it might be sounding too much, but if you don't get auto layout, you can't get design at all, because it is the bedrock of structure in design. Let me go again. This entire frame here is horizontally aligned auto layout, having this switch icon to the right, and then to the left is a vertically aligned auto layout having a text at the top and then a text at the bottom. I'll design it, because it's slightly too much. And then here we have, of course, this guy is an auto layout, vertically aligned auto layout with border ridges. The same thing here. So in this scenario here now, we'll use components, because these two elements, they are just equally the same. The only thing that is changing is the color of this frame, the border, and then the text, right? And then this guy too here, we'll use component, because the only thing that is changing is the text and the color, but the pattern, the padding, everything is the same. So now let me just recreate it, because it's slightly, I think this is the most advanced thing that we'll be working on. So I don't want to do like my chemistry teachers in school back then, where they will give you classwork 1 + 1 is equal to 2, and then give you assignments and tell you to go and solve the trajectory of Earth and the Moon, So let me just quickly. So now I'm going to create my frame. I just press F because I like shortcuts. You could come here, and when you open this, you will see frame, you select it. But I just press F because I love shortcuts. When I come to the frame, I'll just do that, and then so that I can also, oh my god, can I do that? Okay, what I will do is, this thing has all this space here. I wanted to just know the size, the height and the width, but I can't know because of this extra space. So I'm going to clip it so that I can get the exact width and height. Okay, so now the width is 497, 479, the height is 358. 479, 479, the height is 358. 358. So I've gotten the width and the height. Now the border radius, let me just try, because there's no way we can exactly know that one. I tried 10, it's not it. I tried 20, let me see 20. I think 20 is almost, let's say 30, let me try, 30 might be too much. 30 is too much, 25 or 20. Let's just manage this one. So now this is still a frame, it is just a normal frame, it's not an auto layout. But remember I told us that what we'll be working with is an auto layout. So I will then convert this frame to an auto layout. So I will come and say add auto layout. I could just easily use shift and A, or so that we all can know what we are doing. I'll add auto layout. So I've added auto layout. Now the auto layout, look at the setting of the auto layout. The auto layout is set that the elements are going to be positioned to the top left corner of the page, but what we want is the top middle, so coming from top to down at the middle. So we'll come to this place, we'll change it, right? And then for the auto layout, when you look at this element, all the elements have equal distances left and right. Look at the same thing here. So this line is not getting to the edge because there is a padding between them. So I'll set the padding, left and right padding. I'll set it. I think there's already 10 pixels padding. I think there's like 20. Let me try 20. I think 20 is good. I think 15. But let me just 15. Tell me this is 15. And I think it's the same thing up and down. So 15. So now we have gotten that. Now the third thing is, I think that's everything about the actual frame itself. Now the elements, we have text and icon. Text to the left, icon to the right. So obviously it is an auto layout, because if we just add a single text, because we said that this element will position items at the middle. If we add a single text, it's going to come to the middle. And the elements, okay, for now, the auto layout is from left to right. But let us make it from top to bottom, right? Let's make it from top to bottom. So I will select top to bottom. There's really no effect because I have not added any element inside. So now, but let me add a text. I like shortcut. I just wanted to click. Oh, what happened is that we set. Let me Ctrl Z. The auto layout was set to hug its element. Look at it. It's set to hug its elements, but because there's no element yet, it was just waiting. Immediately I added an element, it then hugged the element. It took the exact size of the element, right? But in this case, that's not what we want because we have already given it fixed width. So we'll just open this place. Let me just move my screen. So we'll just open this place and we'll set it to fixed width and fixed height, so that when we then add text or anything, it's not going to adjust. Before we set it, I think, let me just write the text first. New collection. So what I'm just noticing is this gap up and down of theirs is more than mine. So let me make mine. Where is the auto layout? Okay. I think theirs is about 25. So yeah, I do 20. So if you look at their text and look at my text, their text is bigger. I might make mine 16, and then theirs is bold. Okay, theirs is about 18. And bold, right? I think this is good. No, I think it's 17. And then see, it is still positioned at the middle. It's positioned at the middle, and that's not what we want. We want it to be at the left, but because it is a single element, if we set the entire frame to be at the left, this one of course will go because it's a single element. But what about the other elements? If you notice, all the elements are positioned at the middle. You might not totally notice because all the elements are auto layout frames. Right? All the elements are auto layout frames. You might not totally, but look at this other element is positioned to the right. The two of them are positioned to the right. So obviously this frame is not positioning element to the left or right, it's to the middle. So we then reposition ours to the middle. So what we then do is we then add an auto layout to this text. And inside the auto layout, we'll add an icon. I don't know if I've taught us how to add icon, Sha. How to add icon is, I don't know, have I taught us how to add icon? But it's just, if you right click, you will see icon. You will go to manage icon. Yeah, manage icon. And then you search for the icon you want. So, but for me, there are free icons, there are paid icons, right? So for the free, is I would advise you use these feather icons, because for all these minor things, feather icon has it for free. But if you need some much more complex, complicating icons and the rest, you have to pay. But for all these minor things like all these X and stuff, feather icon has it for free. So that's the one I use for some minor things, right? So here now I just need this X. So I'll just look for it. I can search for it, but let me just quickly look for it. Oh, I'm beginning to regret. Yeah, look at it. So I just clicked on it and it added it to the page. And then I will reduce the size. If you want to reduce the size so that everything will scale evenly, let me move it inside our frame so that we can see what I'm doing. If you want to reduce the size so that everything will scale evenly, look at now, I can bend I can compress it to the height or to the width, which is not very good. So if you want to reduce, if you want it to scale evenly, you will hold down shift as you are reducing it, right? You just hold down shift, everything will scale evenly, right? But if I don't hold down shift now, I will be struggling with how to, when I say shift, I mean shift key, you understand? Okay, so we have gotten the icon. Now what is left is to place the icon inside this auto layout frame. I've already created an auto layout frame for the text. The auto layout frame is meant to position elements at the middle, center. That means both your vertical and horizontal is positioned at the middle. So we'll drag this icon into the auto layout. See, now it has positioned it to the left, but we want to move it to the right. So see what I'm doing. So that's why even this layers panel is also very important, because some of these little movement is done from the layers panel. Okay, so but we want it to spread apart. This is where we are controlling the auto layout from. This is where we are controlling the auto layout from. If we want it to go from top to bottom, we'll click this one. It's going to go from top to bottom, but that's not what we want. We want it left to right. So we selected this left to right. But the other, what's it called? After that, or aside that, we also want this guy to be to the far left and this guy to be to the far right. So we'll then we'll double click. Okay, it's not going to work now because the frame is set to fixed. Let me just undo what I did. The frame is set to fixed for the width, right? So, but we want the entire frame to fill the entire want this particular auto layout for these two elements to fill the entire frame, so that probably when we are increasing the frame or reducing it, if there's any need, layout changes. For dynamic design, it is always going to maintain the distance between the two of them. So in that case, you have to select it, come to this place. Instead of selecting hog, you select fill container. It's going to fill the both of them. But because they are set to align at the middle, the both of them is still at the middle. So if I double click, it's going to spread them apart. So this one is to the left, this one is to the right. I think our icon is too small. Let me just increase it a little. I think it's big now, Shabo. For the color, it's too black. Let me make it that harsh. I think it's manageable. Well, this distance at the top is too much. Top and bottom, I think it's 20. So I think it's cool now, right? No, our text is small. Where is the text? I think it's 27. I think it's 20. Nope, 18. So 18 is cool. 18 is cool. So we have achieved the first one. So with this now, notice that even when I'm dragging this from the left to the right, everything is positioned where they're just supposed to be positioned. It's just the distance between them that is increasing. I'm dragging it to the far apart. It is still just perfectly positioned that way. You understand? So that's the perfect way of design. And then the next thing is the line, of course, just the normal line. We come to this place, we select, not that here, line. We hold down shift so that it can draw horizontal line. If we don't hold down shift, it's going to be moving this way. We'll hold down shift key and draw horizontal line, right? And then we'll drag the line and we'll place it inside the auto layout. Look at the lines are going out because the width of the line is set to fix. But if we set it to fill container, it's going to obey the container. So now, even if we are increasing the auto layout frame, okay, the color of the line is white. So let me make it that gray. I think it's cool. So like this now, even if we are increasing the frame, it should just be increasing with the frame, which is perfect. And now when you notice the distance between these two is the same, right? And it's more than this our own distance. So in that case, we are going to set the entire distance between elements in the auto layout. So we come to, okay, look at the distance. We'll give it 20, I think. Yeah, I think that's cool. So now we have the next auto layout, which is a combination of a horizontal auto layout combining this element here and this element. And this element is also an auto layout, which is a vertical auto layout combining this heading text and this bottom text. So in that case, we are going to, I think I should start by creating this two first. Yep, I start by creating this two. I will, let me just enter private. And then another one, only viewable by people you invite. Only viewable by people you invite. Okay, hey, look, this one is thick and black. This one is, what's it called? Light and gray. So here now, this one is light, so we reduce the bold, we'll set it to regular. And of course that text is about 12. Yep. This should be about 14 or so. Yep. And then we'll arrange the both of them inside an auto layout. We'll create an auto layout for the both of them. Yeah, and the distance between them should be about like maybe 10. Yeah. We'll drag it and we'll place it into this. Of course, the elements are still dark, so I mean the element, because we created it down here, is white, so we'll give it black. And then for the subtext, we give it a slight gray. Okay, I think this gap between the elements, let me just use it. Yeah, good. Now it's remaining. Now this is a vertically aligned auto layout, but this vertically aligned auto layout is an element of its own. So it's supposed to be inside a horizontally aligned auto layout, so that him will be at the element on the left, and then this guy will be the element on the right. So I will then create another auto layout on top of this guy. Okay, yeah, you see the importance of using shortcuts. Because it is already an auto layout, if I right click, I will not see the option to create. Instead, I'll see the option to remove. But if I use Shift and A, I have created an auto layout on top of this guy. So that auto layout now, I will now make it horizontally aligned, and then I will make it to fill. Now it is hugging the content, but I will make it to fill the container. Look at filling the container, it has automatically pushed this guy to the left, and then I will spread the element inside it apart. Well, because there is no other element. If there is an element, the element will be here. The entire space will be at the middle, and this guy will be to the left here. So let me quickly see if I can see this icon. I'll use my feather. Let me quickly see if I can see that icon. If I don't see it, I'll just use any any similar icon. Well, I can't find it. Let me just use this guy. So this guy now, I'll drag him. I just drag him. I place him inside, and you see when I placed him inside the container, inside the auto layout, it just automatically created the space in between them because that's the setting we gave it. So, but because I want this guy to be at the left and the other one to be at the right, I'll just use my arrow keys and take this one to the left and the other one automatically come to the right. And that is what we need. Obviously, I can do this, I can start designing this element and getting it. I can even go and start looking for that icon for the other elements, right? But this is just to teach us structure. It's not the actual design. Just to teach us structure. So now I've gotten this. The next is just this text, right? So I can just easily duplicate this. I'll just duplicate it and then I'll drag it out. I just dragged it out. Let me see. I will give it contribution setting. Contribution settings. So there's just one thing I want us to note. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I just realized something. If you look at our own, this particular text and this one are aligned together, right? Because it is what is giving it this gap here is the actual frame that is giving it the gap. But this guy, which is like the title, which is the heading of this particular frame, they are the ones that are obeying the gap of the actual frame. These other ones are inside, and all of them are aligned together with equal distance. So obviously all of them are inside a vertically aligned auto layout that not individually, like that gave them their own distance. The actual frame gave its own distance about 15 pixels from the edge, but this guy's own now is about 30 pixels, right? So these ones are obeying the actual frame, but these ones, they are obeying their own auto layout padding. So in that case, I'll have to create a vertically aligned auto layout again. That's why we have to do a lot of practice. I can't overemphasize on this thing. We have to do a lot of practice. I have to create another vertically aligned auto layout so that I can then give it its own. Let me give it here now. If you notice, this guy is obeying the same distance with this guy, but this one now, for this two, the distance is more. For these two, they are using that 15 pixels, and all these ones are aligned the same, so all of them are using the same distance. So instead of setting all their distance individually, it is better to create an auto layout, put all of them inside, and set the distance on the auto layout itself. So let me do that. On this guy now, don't forget that for this guy we have a vertical auto layout that is inside a horizontal auto layout that is housing these two elements. Now in this horizontal auto layout, I will then create a vertical auto layout inside, on top of it, so that I can start aligning these elements so that I can be stacking under. I just hope you understand what I'm saying. Sure. When we start practicing, we'll watch the video and practice, you get it. So I'll just use Shift A. Shift A, I just pressed it now and I added a vertical aligned auto layout. So I will then move this text inside. I will then move the text inside the auto layout. Okay, it's not easy to move, so I'll just do it from the properties panel. No, it's entering the horizontal. I'll just do it from the property panel. put it inside this. So it has gone to the top, but we want it to be at the bottom. So we'll just move it down. And look at the distance. Look at the distance. So what's the best, easiest way to give that distance? Okay, one of the ways, let me give this guy an auto layout. Let's go back and watch the video and do everything that I'm doing, you get it. So let me give this guy an auto layout so that I will then increase this distance. I have already used Ctrl A to give it an auto layout. See now, he's inside an auto layout. The text is inside auto layout. So for the up and down padding, I will unlock this thing and just give it top padding of, let's say, 20. I think that is okay. No, it's too much. Let's say 15. I think that is okay. 15 is okay. I think my own now is too much. Well, so now the next is this guy. We have gotten down to this point. The next is these two. Remember, I told us that these two are what's it called? Components, because they are just the same. It's only the color of this border that is changing. So I'll just quickly create that. I'll pick this text. I'll duplicate it, because when you look at this text and this text, it is basically the same. Right, so I'll just pick that text, I'll duplicate it, I'll drag it out so that I can use it to create the auto layout. So on the text now, I will then, okay, the text is already inside an auto layout. So for the auto layout, I will give it up and down padding of, let's say, 20. Let me just give it a background color so that we can see it white. I'll give it the up and down padding of, I gave it 20. I think 20 is too much, I don't know. I'll give it left and right padding of let's say 50. Oh, not left and right padding, but left and right padding of about, because of this space here, about 10 or 15. Yeah, I think 15. And then if you notice, it has border radius of about 10. Nope, about 12. Let's say 12. So now we have gotten this guy, just one, but we have this same thing two different places. It's just the text that is changing. Okay, let us give it that stroke. So for the stroke, let me just use the blue one first. So now we have the stroke. So instead of duplicating it and creating two different instances, I'll create a component and then create an instance, which is to duplicate. Create an instance of the component and then drag it into our yeah, so we just have to move this guy to the top. Hey, our own space is too much. Let me change this guy to 15. No. My bad. Okay, I think let's say 12. Okay, so this guy now, instead of having a fixed width, we'll give it fill container. Right, so we have it here. We have gotten this guy. Now the next one, we can just duplicate it. We have gotten another instance, so we can go ahead and we'll change the text. But when we come back and we change the parent element, let's say we need all of them to now have a fill for any reason, for any reason. There could be a reason why we need them to now have a fill of maybe red. we'll just do it once. All of them is going to reflect the field, which is a better way of working. If there's any reason we finally want it to be like this, we can do it. It's consistent, but we don't want that because that's not our design. So, but what our design is, this one now is controlled. Only allow members you have set as contributors to add content. So, only allow members you have set. You have set as contributors to add content. Only allow members you have set as contributors to add content. Okay, but there's one thing I'm noticing: their text is smaller than mine. Now that's the perfect use of this component, because if I duplicated them, if I did not use components, I would then reduce the text here and then reduce it here again. If I just come here and reduce it once, it's going to reflect on the two places. So I think that text is about, let's say, is it 10? Look at it, just vertically reflect. Okay, I think it's 11 or 10.5. I think 11 is good. So the next one is to change. This is open. Oh my god, this thing has taken so much of my time. But I thought about it. True. This particular example is very much advanced. Allow all members to add content. Allow all members to add content. Perfect. So the other thing now is the button with two buttons. So for the two buttons, I told us it is a component. Okay, this one, just the the stroke. The stroke is not supposed to be blue here. It's supposed to be this light gray. Yep. Okay, I think my own stroke is thicker than theirs. Yeah, I use one. I think there is one. I used two. I think there is one. I think it's cool. So the button, we just create it once and then cancel. I'll just use the one for cancel, and then I'll create another layout on top of it. I think I need to increase the text to maybe 13. I guess so. I'll create another layout on top of it. I have done so. I use Shift A, and then I will give it this left and right padding. The top and down, I think top and down is okay. Left and right, 9 is 10. I think it's about 25. Yep. And the radius is totally round, so 20 is cool. And then I will give it, just so we can see it, I'll give it a feel of white. But the text, okay, the up and down should be like 15 maybe. Nope, 12 or 13. And then the text, nope. So this, I'll make it 15. I think let's go. Yep, I think it's cool. Okay, it also has structure. Just to fulfill our righteousness. Let's just finish it. So now I've created just one. I'll then create a component. I've created a component. I'll duplicate. That's like I'll create an instance from the component. So this guy is the instance now. And then I'll create another instance from the instance. Duplicate again. So that I can then create collection. Create collection. And then I'll give it a few color of this. And then for this guy, I'm going to, okay, this should be totally white. What? Oh no, this should be 0. It is the text that should be totally white. So I'm actually dedicatedly working on this because I know that this particular one is advanced. So that when we go back, when we want to create it, if after all this work I did, you don't go back to try to create it and watch the video, it's not me that wasted my time because the knowledge is already with me. It's you that refused to learn it that wasted your time, or that didn't learn it because you won't waste your time if you don't go to learn it. So for these two now, I will create an auto layout for the two. I'll use shift, or let me just right click so that we can see. And the auto layout, of course, is horizontal auto layout. And then the space between them, of course, look at this one. Then I'll drag them inside. Nope. I should drag the actual auto layout. And if you notice, of course, this gas is to the left. No. I should drag it inside this. Yeah. So theirs is to the left, mine is to the right. So what I do is, instead of the width hugging the frame, I'll make it to fill the container and then I'll position it, align it to the left. And voila, we have gotten our full design. The only thing that's just remaining is just this gap here. So this gap is not from the entire frame, because if it's from the entire frame, look at this one is closer than this other one. So it's from this one side. So I'll then give this one another 15. And perfect. So when I say recreate it, I've already done it. Watch this video and redo it for your own good. So this marks the end of, oh my god, it's already 8:30. But I won't say I wasted my time, Sha, because I know it deep down that we have not really learned this auto layout, which is the structure of design. If we don't learn the auto layout, we have not started creating design at all. So I'm happy I did this. But if we don't take our time to go over it and learn it, then it's not my loss, Sha. So let us actually move to development. So bad that every day we get to development, I'll have to refresh because I should not refresh today again. Miracle or Excel, if you are still on, quickly just tell me if you remember the last thing I taught. You remember the last thing I taught, those variables and those comments and those stuff. If you remember, let me just move ahead and teach us list. Okay, I taught us list the last time. Yeah, I taught us list the last time. But if we remember, I'll teach us map. Yeah. That day the only issue was that we couldn't practice with the list because the network was acting on that day. So we'll just quickly practice with the list and then we'll go to map. After I've learned map, probably on our next class we'll start learning function. We'll finish function, then we'll actually start doing some little examples with the actual development. So whoever is in should just quickly tell me if I should. Well, maybe if I want to refresh now, I'll use the entire time to refresh. So if you guys have learned the one I taught, just quickly tell me. Let me not waste our time. This is almost. Okay, nobody's saying anything. Well, I will just move ahead. So for the list, the last time I explained variable, blah blah blah, how to save data. Like for the color now, a single individual like myself can have, of course, I have different color. What's it called? Favorite color. Favorite color is black, white, blue. I think that's it. Black, white, blue. Yeah. That's the thing. So, and you know, the reason for variables, some values that you will always reuse, just like components. You don't need to go and cram it and always whenever you want to say favorite color, you go and write the value. Just save it in a variable so that you always remember the variable. You understand? Like let's say my village, or let's say Chilelo in your village. I'm creating an application that is meant to display your village or do something with your village. You tell me one strange name, Omaku. I don't know if that's a village, but I might not always remember that thing, right? So, but let's say I'm creating an application and then you tell me the name of my village is Umu blah blah blah, right? So I will just create a variable and save it. Let's say Chi the oh my god, this spelling is not correct. Village. At least this particular text, I'll remember this text, Chidebere village. Then I'll say equal to, I'll give it this. And then Umu Omaku ancient of this, funny, just trying to make a joke. Community. So now I might forget this. And if you notice how I always use semicolon to end any variable declaration, it is the syntax of that programming language. That's the syntax. So now I might forget this entire word, but I will not forget this. So whenever I want to use an application, I can just easily come. That's the reason for variable, and I just commented this guy out so that the code will not run it. This is telling the actual machine that is running that see these 3 lines. So look at all these comments here. You are not going to run them because they are not part of what you should execute, right? So here now, I'll just say print. Now we are just printing sha. When we start working, we'll do a lot of things with variable. So now I will then say Chidebere village. I hope I spelled that correctly. Okay. Village. So if I run it, it's going to print this thing. So I might have forgotten about this thing, but because I saved it, look at it. Because I saved it in a place I always remember, because I can, always use it, reuse it. So now that's just the idea of variable. I've learned that. And different data types. We have double, which is a value with decimal. We have integer, which is called int, a value without decimal. We have bool, which is true or false. Now in bool, let me quickly do something with bool. Let me just quickly do something. I don't think I've done any practice with bool. Let me just, okay, Excel say yes sir. I don't really know what I'm saying yes sir for. Is it that I should go on or I should refresh? But I'm already refreshing. Just a quick one. Let me quickly do something with this boolean, which is yes or no. I might say is today Sunday? Okay, yes. Let me now today is Sunday. Yes, so today is Sunday. Let's say this is true because actually today is Sunday. So I might say print this syntax is going to be confusing somehow. I just hope you guys don't get confused. Oh my god. That's why we need to go into function so that we'll start familiarizing ourselves with all that. And conditionals. Now let me not do this today. On our next class we'll learn conditionals, we'll learn function. Because how to really use this, I know we have not really used this boolean, but it is used for conditionals. Like if this is this, do that. If that is that, do this. All those conditionals. This is very important in programming. Okay, sorry about that. Now let us look at how to work with lists. Now instead of saying I have 3 favorite color. See how many what's it called, variables I'm creating just to save my favorite color, because there are 3. So I'll say favorite color 3. We have blue, black, and then white. So we have created 3 different variables. This not spelled this wrongly again. So I created 3 different variables just for my favorite colors. Because my favorite color will always be blue, white, or blue, white, black, I could just easily create this list and call it my favorite colors because they are related data. So you use list to save related data that me I could say you are confused. Well, maybe on our next class we'll take our time to go through these variables and because we have not really done much in programming. We always spend so much time in it. At the end of the day, we'll rush through programming. But by God's grace, what I will do on our next class, I promise us, is that we'll begin from programming and then end with design so that we can actually learn. So, but let me just see what I can do. So here now we have related data. All those data are my favorite colors. All of them, are strings, right? So instead of saving them differently, we could just create a list. See the way I've already taught you how to create variables. So, but for list now, you call it list. String now, you call it string. That's one very good thing about that programming language is that you will define. I've told us that if you want to create a variable, you will define the data, the kind of data that the value will store. So here now we are storing text. We call it string. Here we are storing age. We call it integer because, of course, human being age, there is no 35 points. There's just I'm 35. And then for all these other like value of pi, all these things, it's double because it has decimal place, right? So because I'm saving related data, let me just remove this because they're not very much related. Because I'm saving related data, instead of me to save them differently like this, I then created a list. So you will say list. And then if you want to further define, which is a very, very good practice, define what, a list is like a group of data. That name list, of course, we all know what list means. It's like a group of data in programming. So, but the group of data still saves a kind of element inside. So this list, what kind of element is going to be saved inside the list? You will then look at this 2 greater than less than sign and you say string. So it's trying to say that this list is going to hold a group of strings. And of course, because this is a string, this is a string, this is a string. I've already told us how to identify string when the semicolon, value with semicolon are strings. Right? If I now say this list will be list of integers, it's going to throw an error. Look at error because this value is not an integer. It's a string, this is a string, this is a string. So, you must always define the data types in when you are saving variable. So now, this list, how do we access each of these elements? These are a list of 3 different elements. How do we access it? If it is this single variable, we'll just say print just this one. It's going to print this one. But let's try and say print this one and see what it will print. Let's say print my favorite color, my favorite colors. I spelled that wrong, okay. Let me go on again. Yeah, I call it Fovo. So it's cool. So now let's say print my favorite color and let's see what it will print because there are 3 different data inside. Let's see what it will print. I printed 3 of the data, which is cool. But if you notice, it printed it with even this square bracket. Okay, sorry. Now let me teach us how to create a list. For this single one, we just add the elements, right? But for the list, because they are grouped data, you put square brackets. When you look at your keyboard, you see curly braces, you see the normal bracket that is slightly round, and you see the square. So the square bracket you will use. If you put the square bracket, you enter all your data inside, and you use the square bracket to close it again, and then you use your semicolon. So when we say run, because we told it to print the entire list, it printed it this way, and this is a very, you can't even use it this way. You can't use it this way because it's printing the entire thing. You can't use it this way. So what you can do is, let's say I want to print only the blue. Let's say I want to use only the blue. I told us the last time. You want to use only, how can you access it inside this entire list? How to access it is to say this list now in programming there's what's called indexing. Index number of every element in a list is always starting from 0. So this element in position 1 has an index number of 0. Element in position 2 has an index number of 1. Element in position 3 has an index number of 2. So if we want to access, let's say this blue is in position 2 but it has an index number of 1, right? What we can say is print my favorite color, and then we'll put that square bracket open and close, and then we'll add the index number 1. Because this guy is 0, it always starts from 0, 1, 2, and so forth, and so on and so forth. So now I want to print the element in position 2, which is blue. We then give it the index number of 0. If I run it now, you see blue will be printed here. Look at blue is printed here. If I want to print element in position position 1, which is has an index number of 0, I'll say print list with the index number of 0. Look at the printed black. Okay, we have about 15 minutes. Let me see if I can quickly, show us map. Because all these are the data types. If we can learn data types on our next class, we start learning conditionals and stuff. So list, this is almost everything about list, right? Almost everything about list, because you can then go ahead and create, list of integers, list of doubles. Now I just created a list of strings. So this, list is just like a group of, related data. That you could, like I give us an example, I could create these 3 different variables like this, and then whenever I want to call anyone, I will just call the name. But it's scattered. I'll have to be remembering their name, separate. But if I just create a list and give it one name, if I can remember that one name, I can always access each and every one of the elements by just passing the index number inside. So that's list for you. So now let's go with map. Map is just like list, but map now works with key and value. Key and value in the sense that we'll give us an example, but let me quickly explain. For this list now, all the elements are just there by themselves. Look at all of them are just there. So the only way to access an element is to pass the index number inside. But for map, let me create it. Map now, each of the elements, you are going to give it a key. You will give it a key that you can always use to access it. So how to create the map? You just write the map. And you pass in the data type. So anyway, let me not do that for now, but you should always do it, but let me not do that for a reason. I'll finally come back to do it. So you write the map and then you give it a name. Let's say map is better to store more complex information. If you notice, list now is just basic things like colors, countries, something that is just single values. But for map now, let's say I want to store my information. I can store it with a list, right? My name, my age, my work, I can store it with this list, but it is not it's not very safe because you won't know which value is for what. But let's look at the difference between list and map. So I say my information, that's my info. I'll give the semicolon. So for map now, instead of using this square bracket that we're using for list, we'll then use curly braces. And then let's put our semicolon at the end. Now let me enter the map. So now how to create the map now? You pass in the key first. So let's say my info, my name first. I'll pass in the key. The key must be a string, right? So let's say my name. Let's say my name. And then I will now put colon and then give it a value. So my name and the value, of course, because it's a name, is also a string. So I'll now say Alex Onyeka. So if I want to enter another value, I'll use, comma. The key again must be a string because it is what you use to identify what value. So I'll then say, let's say my age also. And then this value now, because age is integer, I'll now pass integer. Let's say 75 also. Let's say maybe my job. And then colon. Because job, of course, is a string now. When I say application developer, which other information? My address. Chicago, sharp. So now we have created our map. Let me format it. So if you look at this map, for the list now, all the values are just inside. In fact, let me create list, still saving the same value so that you explicitly see the difference. So I'll say list. I'll call it maybe my info list, something like that. And then I'll give it, so I'll use this, square bracket. So the first value is my name, which is Alex Onyeka. The second value is my age, which is 75. The third value is my job, which is application developer. Yes, dictionary in Python. Chidebere, that's good. Application developer. And then the fourth value is address, that's Chicago. Nice one, Chicago. So now it is the same data I saved in it too, but for list, the data are just scattered. It can mean anything. If another developer comes here, or even me, I might forget which value did I save on the index 0. Is it name, or is it job, or is it address? I don't know if you are getting it. So list now, it doesn't have much organization to it, so it's not good to use list to save dynamic information. It's just good to say maybe list of countries, list of colors, list of, just something that all of them are the same type. When you want to see maybe list of, maybe you want to save information like information about a car model, car name, year of development, all those different dynamic information. It's better to use map, because map now you can pass a key. You have the key, which is the name of the value. So this value now, my name. Whenever I want to access this name, I must pass in this key. So map is always used to save such dynamic information. So let me comment this guy out so it doesn't run. Now, how do we access value in a map? The list now, you just write the name of the list and pass the index number of the list. But for map now, you have to write the name of the map, my info, print my info. Let me include it with print my info, and then you will use still the square bracket, but you will now put, because you want to pass in string. Because see, all the keys are string. Look at the semicolon, look at the colors, not semicolon, sorry, quotation marks, and look at the string. So all the keys are string. So you now enter the name of a key, and then it will pass in the value of that key. Let me say my job. So if I run it now, it will print out the value of this key called my job. Have I run it? Okay, it just came out. Yeah, look at it. Application development. So this one now is map is used to save much more complex data. So just with this one map, I'm able to get 4 information perfectly organized of myself. I am 75 years, that's good. I am in Chicago, that's awesome. I can save much more other information like date of origin. So all these our information, like you go to Facebook, your state of origin, your this, your that, it's not saved with list, even though all those values are about you. You know, I told us that list is used to save values that are related. True, all values about you are related, but it is better to use map, because with map you can easily identify which value you want to call by passing the key of that value. But for list, you have to pass in the index number, and you can never know exactly what is in that index number unless maybe you are looking at the list and you start counting it. Like here now, if I want to pass out my address now, like if I want to print out my address, I will say, okay, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. For here now, I don't even need to look at this map. I will just know that if I call this print my info and then pass my address, it's going to print out the address. Even if the address is in number 1 or number 10, wherever, it's going to print out the address. Yeah, that's good. So that's the end of our class today. If you have a question, quickly ask. I'll just give us 30 seconds. I'll wait for 30 seconds. If you have question, you quickly ask. If you don't have question, just thank Chidebere. That's if you value this class. Thank Chidebere for making this class to go today. And I promise us on our next class, if I don't see very good enthusiasm, this is like my 2 hours gone. With, of course, the stress, because I've been talking for 2 hours. If I don't see good enthusiasm, class is not going to hold on. What? Today is Sunday, Thursday. I need to see good enthusiasm. I'm already very, very much behind on the projects I have at hand. So make I not even lie. To an extent, I'm even praying we don't behave well so that this thing stop. Because I know how people beg me. Some people are ready to pay money, and I'm refusing to teach. That's the truth. But we here, we just, God is awesome. So that's the end of our class today. And I don't know if I should say let me apologize. I know that this programming is always overwhelming. It is. Don't feel like you are not good enough or you are not intelligent enough. You know, a lot of people like to feel like that, like to feel that way. Say this is not, what's that thing they say? This is not for me. It is too much. It is too difficult. No. Even me, also a day that's a very long time ago, I almost cried trying to learn programming, because I'm this kind of person that I believe if there's anybody that must learn anything in this world, it's me. Nobody is more intelligent than me. Right? So whenever I come across anything that is difficult to learn, I feel like I should kill myself, because there's somebody that have learned it. Why not me go learn it? You understand? So if you are feeling overwhelmed by, this is normal. It is new. It's a new kind of information to your brain. This is not 1 plus 1, it's 2. Or 2 days a boy. Find the stress. All those English nonsense. Find the stress syllable in this sentence. I hate English. This is not that kind of knowledge. This is something totally strange. So it is normal that you are feeling very overwhelmed. But give it time, go through the class, take your time, visit it, escape, go back, rest, drink cold pure water, come back. If it give you 2 blows, it's normal. It will stress your brain out. Close your laptop or your phone. Go back again. Relax. Call one girl or one boy or your friend. Just laugh so that your brain can calm down. Come back. I'm an adult, so I believe everybody in this class is an adult. So come back to the class, look at it again. Small, you start learning it. It's normal. Take it gradually. So I want to appreciate all of you for, making the decision to be in this class. By God's grace, this is a very important journey you have started for yourself. And I wish you all success in learning. Have a very good night.
You know who made it?